The best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets casket is top. You can see it helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Tick your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
All right, what's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here from DFS Army, and what we're doing today is what I try to do every week, cash lineup review from last week, week 11. I'm going to go through the lineup I put together, some of the tools I used to come up with the lineup that I put together here, and why you probably should have been on similar or the same players, and hopefully the idea of this is to help me with my process and help you with your process in coming up with cash lineups, because again, I know you might think they're boring, but cash games are the way to increase your bankroll and the way to stay in the game in DFS. Most important thing that you do every week is your lineup. Sunday, this was an awesome week for cash games. I think a lot of us smashed, so some people didn't though, and I like to try to figure out why, what you did, and how you could have done it different. So the first thing I'm going to show you, I've got a couple of interesting things planned today. Number one, I'm going to show you my cash lineup, and you can tell here I put this in the massive $5 double up amongst others, and I ran the chain, as you could see here, 100 lineups in the giant contest. This contest seems to be one that people do that on. They run their 150 lineup chains. So one of the great things about this contest is you get a really good feel for like what the field was on in cash games. So we're going to take a look at my lineup. We're going to take a look at some lineups, even from some really, really great DFS players that make, I have like a great DFS players that make great cash game lineups. See what they did. Always like to look at the comp. What did we do different? What did we know in advance? And what tools did we use? So the first thing I'm going to show you here is, you want to see my most winning lineup? Dude, I fucking crushed this weekend, but we're talking cash games. Cash games made me the most money this weekend. Now, let me show you some of our tools here. The first thing I want to show you is this weekend's Domination Station Optimizer. This is our optimizer where you can make your lineups. And check it out. This is like really simple shit, okay? I'm just going to, I have it. There's no settings on here. This is the classic mode, Draftkings NFL. So let's see what the optimizer was spitting out for top lineups this week, just in general. So if you take a look here, really interesting. If you just play the optimized lineup on off of the Domination, which crushes almost every week, you'll see here Taysom Hill at the quarterback. He was the nuts quarterback play. Kalen Ballage got you 17 points. Dalvin Cook smashed. Denzel Mims was a wonderful pay down option this week. He got 10 fantasy points for 3,300. Absolutely smashed cash. Jacoby Myers was a disappointment. But he was 80% owned in cash, so it didn't matter. He was a free square this week, as I'll show you in a minute. Terry McLaurin, I don't actually know what he did. This isn't the lineup I played, but I think he did well. Dallas Goddard did well. Devontae Adams wound up doing really well, and Washington football team did well. And I'm pretty confident that this lineup would have smashed cash games, but I don't know what the total score would be because I haven't added it up, right? So I want to show you a little bit from this of what I was on, where I came up with it. The other tool that we have at DFS Army is the chalkboard, and this just basically shows you where the chalk is concentrated. And I showed you last week on the lineup review, chalk is chalk for a reason. Chalk has been really good this year, and it does identify the best place. So when you take a look at our chalkboard, again, Taysom Hill, 25 fantasy points, the top by far ownership. At running back, Dalvin Cook and Kalen Ballage were your pairing. And take a look at my lineup just to be clear on what I played. Dalvin Cook, Kalen Ballage, Taysom Hill. Starting to notice a trend? Wait, there's more. Go back to the chalkboard. Okay, who are the wide receivers? Jacoby Myers. Disaster, but 80% owned in cash games. Didn't hurt you. Look at him. He's in my lineup, 70% owned. There he is. Did he hurt me? No. Did he have a good game? No, but he was the right play because he was getting a 30% target share, as you could see by our matchups page. Who else? Davante Adams, Keenan Allen. Now, let's say you couldn't afford both of these guys. They're both standout plays. Which one did you play? You played Davante, you played Keenan. Keenan, who was cheaper, smashed even better. So no matter which one of these two you played, you crushed. I played Davante Adams in mine, but I liked Keenan Allen too. I just couldn't make it work. Why? Because I also liked Brandon Cooks, and you'll note, and Deontay Johnson, and I squeezed them into every lineup. Now, one of the decisions I had to make in my cash lineup, and again, it's right here in the fucking tool. This isn't something we changed. This was here all week. And this has been here for me. This was here the whole time. It's right in front of you, right? So I had to make a decision between Justin Jefferson. I knew that I couldn't afford. All right, here's where the decision points happened when I was making my. I wanted Jacoby Myers. He was cheap value, 40% target share. Of course, my boy Sintao did one of the ultimate pivots. I love it. Played Demir Bird, because that's exactly what you should do in tournaments. Look for the cash game, the cash play, Jacoby, and play the other guy. How about the cash play was Jefferson? You played Thielen. That's how you win a tournament. That's not what we're talking about today. That's not what we're talking about, but I wanted to mention that. That's how you make a tournament lineup. You take this cash game approach. You're like, all right, everybody's going to play Keenan Allen. Maybe I'll play Mike Williams. He crushed. Everybody's going to play Jacoby Myers. Maybe I'll play Demir Bird. He crushed. That's how you win a tournament. But in the cash game, we want to play the chalk. So I had to make a decision between Adams, Keenan Allen, and really Terry McLaurin, who were all priced up a little bit. I didn't love Terry McLaurin. He didn't get enough target share last week under Alex Smith. I don't actually know what he scored. If you guys know, pop it in the chat here, and I'll see if I can find him. But Keenan Allen smashed. Davante Adams had a very good game as well, and you'll see in my lineup. Brandon Cooks was in my lineup as well. So, and I went with Deontay Johnson over Jefferson. In the end of the day, they both played really well. So once again, most of the wide receiver chalk worked really well. And one of the things I told you guys this week was do not play running back in your flex anymore. Running backs have become difficult to predict. Play wide receivers. Everybody who watched my content this week knew to do that. So hopefully you followed that. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to show you what my lineup was. It easily cashed. And you could see it doesn't look like the greatest lineup when you first look at it, but it easily cashed, and there's good reason why. I'll show you in a minute why. Taysom Hill, $4,800. I mean, come on, right? The beautiful thing about Taysom Hill this week was even when he just got to like 12 or 14 points, I was like, nice. That's what I needed in cash, right? Of course, he wound up smashing with 25 points, but it didn't matter. He was 60% owned and a cheap quarterback. So everybody who didn't play Taysom Hill kind of started off on a little bit of a cash deficit. A lot of guys played Deshaun Watson, which was fine, good play. The three players that I said this week were cash viable were Deshaun Watson, Heber, and Taysom Hill. Now, I told, I was going to play Hill because I like the cheapest one, but there was a little more risk there. But part of the reason why I play Taysom Hill is because I wanted to try to get to Davante Adams. Now, in the end of the day, a lot of people who didn't play Taysom Hill wound up with Keenan Allen because you couldn't afford Davante Adams, and that worked out just fine. So, it works out for you. It works out. A lot of those people played Denzel Mims. They played that again. They're right here on the chalkboard. A lot of these guys played. Or on the value board, a lot of people played Denzel Mims in that spot because he was a value cheap guy, and that's fine. That's fine. But I didn't want to do that. I liked Jacoby Myers, I liked Dalvin Cook, and I definitely loved Deontay Johnson. As you guys know, he's been my cheat code. So I wanted to squeeze those three in there. And then I'm like, all right, am I going to play him with Keenan Allen or Davante Adams? I had decided pretty early in the week I was going to go with Davante because he was indoors, and I thought he was going to be lower owned, to be quite honest, and still a smash. All of those decisions were great. Now, the first real decision points to be made this week in this lineup for me was RB2. I knew I was going to play Dalvin Cook. He was in too good of a spot, too high owned, 80%. You just play that. Even if he failed, so what? 80% owned player. Again, that's how cash games work. Doesn't matter if they fail. If they're 80% owned, it doesn't matter. You just play them anyway because they're not getting you ahead and not getting you behind. Ben, see, you're wrong. This is what I keep trying to explain. Jacoby was just fine. Well, he only scored 2, he only scored 6. He was 70% owned, under 5K. It didn't matter. I've cashed. So he didn't fuck me. He played just fine for me. Not that he did anything, but it didn't matter because everybody else played him also. So it was a smart play. The guy was getting 40% of the targets for his team 3 weeks in a row. It was a good play. There's a reason why the field was on this guy. And I'm going to show you in a second a lineup that I did against like one of the top cash game players in the world. I'm going to show you what they did, and I'll explain why they came up with it. Okay, so McLaurin had 5 for 85, no touchdown. Wound up probably, it sounds like, with 13 or 14 points. So McLaurin was a disappointment. And, not shocking. Am I going to play McLaurin over Keenan Allen? Hell no. So I'm going to show you, again, we're looking at my lineup. I'm going to show you my decision point. And I actually have another cash lineup that I played. I left it out there, my original one. And then I had to, I switched it. But here we go. This is my decision point, right? RB2. Originally, I had a cheap guy in here. It was Adrian Peterson. Now, I hate Adrian Peterson. I hated the play. So I'm like, man, he's popping on the value chart. But I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like him, and I don't like the play. He's old. I didn't like it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll switch to Kerryon Johnson. I guess he'll get the other work, which would have worked out just fine. But I didn't love it either. I like Kalen Ballage. He was against the Jets. His team was favored. Again, he didn't even do all that much to justify the pay up. And in the end, the decision to pay up for Ballage actually hurt me, and I'll show you how in a minute. I already knew my 4 wide receivers were going to be who they were going to be. They were in my notes, the top cash plays. The only question mark I had here was Adams or Keenan Allen. I went with Adams. Keenan Allen actually wound up outscoring him, but I played Keenan in some tournament lineups, and I actually smashed those tournaments. So I made my money off of Keenan. But Adams, Brandon Cooks was a lock for me. Again, 25% targets. I loved Deshaun Watson. Did it work out? No, but it almost did. Got a touchdown called back. Didn't quite pass the 100-yard mark on only 4 receptions. One more catch, and this would have been, another 3, another 1.5, another point. It would have been like 19. Basically, he was 1 reception away from the bonus and probably a 19-point game. And if he gets a touchdown, he smashes. Brandon Cooks was way too low owned for how good he was in this spot. Dude, if you played Julio in your fucking cash lineup, bro, we need to have a long talk about what the hell you're doing. That was not a good play. Yeah, Hill and Keenan together, great. Assuming it's Taysom Hill. Now, Deontay Johnson was a lock for me. So where were the decision points in this lineup? For me, the big decision was RB2, tight end, and defense. Now, at tight end, I wanted to play, and I'll show you a different version of the lineup where I wanted to get to Mark Andrews. I knew that Mark Andrews was going to smash. I knew it. It was very not new. You don't never know shit. But he was a core play for me. I basically only put 2 tight ends on my sheet on FanDuel this week. It was Andrews or Taysom Hill, and on DraftKings, Andrews, Hill, Goddard, and Andrews, Hill, Goddard. Who the fuck was the other guy? And Hawkinson. All of those tight ends actually did well. But I wanted Andrews. He wound up getting 18 fantasy points, and I'll show you an alternate lineup. But in order to pay up, basically I had to make a decision. I could go Adrian Peterson and Andrews, or get a running back I liked a lot more. Yeah, and Goddard was great also. Goddard was great too. I think he had a very good game. Another guy that I would have, and again, hindsight, this is the biggest regret I have, Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas is a fucking turd every week, and he gets 4 or 5 receptions, and it kind of gets your cash game interest going, but he never does anything with the 4 or 5 receptions. Here he didn't even get he still got his 5 targets, only got 2 catches, but that's what he does every week. And this was just a bad play. I was kind of looking back at these couple of 16 and 12-point games, hoping and praying, but I need players that will get me to 10 fantasy points regularly without having to score a touchdown. And this guy just doesn't get there. I can't count on touchdowns. So, Lions was 2,700. That was another area that could have been done a little different for me. And I'm going to show you an alternate lineup here in a minute where I got it. But anyway, the point is, this is the beauty of this. And this is part of the reason why I wanted to show you this. This is not a perfect lineup. Look at it. This isn't perfect. It's got a 6. It's got a 2.8. It's got a mediocre defense. Quite honestly, I played Lions defense because, wow, they suck. But I played Lions defense because Carolina's rolling out a rookie, a neophyte quarterback, and I like defenses against those situations. Broncos was actually the play, and they were my pay down option if I was going to pay down. I had them in, but I had 300 left over, didn't have where to spend it. It's funny. I made a dumb decision. Like I had 300 when I had Broncos in there. The Broncos ended up putting up like 12 points, but I didn't know where to spend the 300. Just silly things that you go through. In the look back, my biggest issue was RB2. What do you do with RB2? I don't want to play. I don't want to play Adrian Peterson. I don't want to play some running back from the Lions. Then I looked at Salvin Ahmed from Miami. I'm like, maybe I could play that guy at that salary. Didn't love it. He didn't get a lot of passing game work, right? So then I'm kind of rolling up J.D. McKissick. He had a good week. Feels a little chasey. There was no one to play. I knew I wasn't playing no Duke Johnson. Fuck that, right? I ain't playing no running back from the Texans. I don't even get why everybody's playing him, but I'll show you in a minute what happens with them. I do know why people, and I'm going to explain it to you because I actually am going to show you a head-to-head against one of the top cash game players in the world. When I do my cash games, take a look at the names, by the way. I want you guys to look at the names here, okay? Derek Hardy, Mangone, Head Chopper, Blenderhead. Now, why did I choose these guys, right? I wanted to go up. I like to see what the lineup is for some of the better players. Derek Hardy is known as the best cash game player. So I like to go up and see what he did. See if we could take him out. I also have a pretty good idea most weeks of what he's going to do because he's very obvious about it. So I wanted to go up against him. And I mean, it was close. It was close. Here's the difference. So in this lineup, Derek chose to use Duke Johnson. Now, the reason he used Duke is because people look at David Johnson and they're like, well, at 5,600, maybe I wasn't super excited to play him because he loses some passing game work to Duke Johnson. But Duke Johnson's not losing that passing game work to Duke Johnson. He's in there. So technically, the thought is this guy's a better play than David Johnson. But what everybody forgets is the Texans don't produce fantasy points to the running back position. They never do. I've had fucking Lamar Miller on my dynasty team for 8 years. He didn't do shit in that offense. I know this team. They don't produce to the running back. So that was off my list. That was never even a possibility. He played Adrian fucking Peterson because Derek, again, a smart, great cash game player, looked at it and went, you know what? He's 4K and he's going to get all the carries for his team. Now, in the end of the day, it didn't work out, but it was a good play. It was fine. The problem for me was I was like, there's no upside with this guy. He needs to cross 100 yards, which he's old and he's not going to do. It's on the road. I didn't like it. I actually played a lineup with him in there because it's the correct move. Like technically, cash games, you should embrace the value. And the value was there, but I just didn't love it. Devontae Adams. Now, here's some other differences. Justin Jefferson, you saw that Jefferson and Deontay were side by side as projections in our projection system, in our ownership projection. I made the choice to go with Deontay. Derek used Jefferson, and I'm going to show you why he did that. I mean, Jefferson was popping, or I'll tell you why I didn't use Jefferson. And the reason I didn't was mainly because I know that, I have Dalvin Cook in the lineup, and I'm getting a lot of the production from Minnesota. But also for me, when Dalvin Cook really takes over a game for Minnesota, they don't throw that much. And Jefferson got there on only 3 receptions. So this was a bit of a lucky break on a massive late game touchdown where Deontay is getting 10 plus receptions every single game. I'm actually quite surprised that in looking at it that he went this way. I think this was an error that he might look back on and say, and I don't know, but he might look back on it and say, you know what? Yeah, every full game that Deontay's played, he's had 10 plus targets. Why am I playing some guy? I really don't understand it. Why am I playing some guy who's getting, 4 targets a lot of games? I mean, he gets to 10 on the smash games, but he's not. So I think this was an error, and I actually think this was a bad play on his part that caused him not to win this head-to-head, even though this lineup easily cashed everything as well. Myers is in here. This is the big, decision point. Yeah, I wanted to play Mark Andrews too, and it was the right play. But in order to get to him, there was just no way of doing it with Davante Adams. Now, in hindsight, I could have gone down to Keenan Allen off of Davante and maybe dropped all the way down to Jets defense or the cheapest defense on the board and had a chance to get there. But the way I wanted to really get there was through the running back position, and I just could not find anyone under Ballage that I thought was even a reasonable play. So that's a lot of my cash line. I want to show you some other top players. Let's see. Oh, man, the back button. Let me see if it works. I hate this system. Oh, man. Yeah, no. Can't do it. Can't do it. Well, you'll get a chance to look at what I did yesterday here a little bit, but it's really tough in this system. I'm going to show you some other really, really good players. Note some interesting things here. I think here's Blenderhead, Jordan Cooper, one of my favorite GPP minds, one of the sharpest guys. What's he doing? He's playing the same lineup as Derek Carty plays. I'm not surprised there. Those guys are on a show together, so it's not a shock that they're winding up playing the same lineup. Let's see if we can find anyone else that didn't do the exact same thing. Another good player. Here's Mangone. Yeah, okay, so here's Mangone, who's a good player in DFS in general. Went up against him as well, purposefully. Picked it. Wanted to see what the good players are doing. And you see here, where did he go wrong? Duke Johnson. Lineup murder. Didn't fall for the Adrian Peterson thing, but he played Duke, fell for it, sucker game. Duke has been garbage, but the volume was going to be there. Blah, blah, blah. It didn't work out. No Deontay Johnson in here. Went with Kalen Ballage in the flex. So rather than playing Kalen Ballage here and figuring out something else down here, what do we say? No running back in the flex anymore, guys. They're too unpredictable. So, maybe these guys will learn. Why don't I get Lineup Study Pro implemented on my side? I mean, what we have, I don't have that technology. I mean, I don't have the tech. I'd love to. Papa Gates is another well-known player. Let's take a look at him. And I'm going to show you my secondary cash lineup. I made 2 cash lineups this week. I want to see if I can find the other one. But Papa Gates, another really good player, played the same lineup as... Oh, no, slightly different. This isn't the Cardi lineup. Looks like he played Goddard. Okay, there you go. Wow. What a difference. His error was... I mean, he made a lot of errors here, but Goddard, great play. Again, reminds me of my unforced error of playing Logan Thomas. Just unforgivable, really. And I'm sick over it a little bit. Even though I cashed everything, I'm sick over it because I don't like making mistakes like that. And I'm trying to get those type of mistakes out of my game. We'll see. He went wrong by choosing Terry McLaurin. Probably, and so he had the same dilemma, right? So here, Papa Gates, he's looking at RB2 going, man, it's a fucking shit show. They all suck. So he takes a shot with Robinson, who's in a terrible matchup against the elite Pittsburgh run defense. Doesn't care. Going to pay up for it. Big mistake. So the extra 800 he spent to go from Ballage to Robinson, that cost him the difference between McLaurin and Keenan Allen. That's it. That one move, he smashes. Either way, even with this error, Papa Gates winds up cashing all of his lineups. Doesn't cash against me in my head-to-head, bitch. But he cashed all his lineups, did fine. But, if he could have it back, I'm sure he would rather have gone down. He probably is looking at this going, yeah, that was probably an unforced error. I didn't need to do that. And you could have gotten right up to Keenan Allen, who was a better play than McLaurin. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a good play. Robinson against Pittsburgh, not a good play. Robinson's great, but not against the Steelers. So, should have just gone with the running back who's favored at home in a smash spot. Like, did he smash? No. But, I mean, the on paper, it was a much better play. Ballage, you could have played Gibson, too. Gibson and Ballage were very similar for me. Again, these are some of the best players in the world. Now, the reason I went head-to-head against a lot of these guys, and I chose them, was I like to see what they did. I want to see how scary is it to go up head-to-head against the big dogs, right? And I'm showing this to you guys so listen, these lineups, they're not out here just destroying everything. These guys are out here having a hard time. Yeah, here's my, I'll show you. You guys asked me about, this I think was one of my best lineups of the week. This was in first place for a little bit. I believe, Keenan Allen in here. It was a Taysom Hill, but I built it around, I built it around some plays that I just liked the most. Harris, who I liked, Nyheim Hines. So Nyheim Hines was part of the Devontae Adams kind of like combo. It didn't work out, but I wanted to get off the chalk running backs because the chalk running backs have just been murdering me. Just wanted to get away from it. Moore here, it's just one of my tournament lineups, but I like DJ Moore because everybody was talking about this nonsense about PJ Walker and played with Robbie Anderson in cash and whatever. You know what I mean? There was this big narrative about how PJ Walker, played college with Robbie Anderson and Robbie Anderson and Robbie. And I was like, fuck Robbie Anderson. I'll play DJ Moore. I'll play the other guy because it's a great tournament pivot. That's what I did. I wanted Mark Andrews. I loved Keenan Allen this week. I think I felt like I built some sort of correlation with Allen, but no, this wasn't one of those lineups. Let me see, actually. Yeah. No correlation there, but didn't need too much of it. Again, I played Jacoby. That was unfortunate. And again, in hindsight, maybe that's a spot in a tournament where I probably should have pivoted off the Supreme Chalk, but whatever. I'm going to try to find one more thing. I had an alternative cash lineup last week with Adrian Peterson in it. And it was my original cash, and I had switched over to the one with Ballage. But I wanted to leave some lineups with Adrian Peterson just to see how that would have fared and kind of understand if my pivot off was the right move. Now, the only way I'm going to find it is by, it's going to have to scroll through a little bit here, so just give me a minute. Yeah, these are all those same lineups as part of that one contest. They don't make it easy on DraftKings to scroll through your own history. And I mean, you could see how he did in head-to-heads here with that 149. It cashed almost everything. And note that it only barely cashed, but it cashed almost everything. I think the other one was just, yeah, here it is. Okay, so here's the alternate lineup, and it actually scored 11 points higher. My original lineup, check this out, guys. This is my original lineup. So this is a really cool way to kind of look and see what would have happened had I gone with my original. So you saw my final lineup, the one I put the most money on. I dropped the tight end position down to shitty Logan Thomas in order to pay up at running back for Kyle Ballage. That was the only change, right? Boom, it's 1-2, 1 for 1. And when I did that, I left 300 extra on the table, which pushed me up from Broncos to a different defense. But look at the original. You guys are bitching about Adrian Peterson. I want to tell you, this lineup smashed everything. So the original version with Peterson and Andrews, with the Broncos defense, who I loved in cash, and look how great they did, that absolutely smashed the other game, and it would have won even more money. So in the end of the day, now you guys are Auburn. If you're not on the wrong cash play, then the world is twisted. Even though I liked Watson too, the world is twisted. Watson was a perfectly fine play, by the way, even in cash. I'm giving you a pass. Your play of Tua last time was terrible, but this play was totally fine. No rip on you. I don't know what the rest of your lineup looked like. I'm sure it was bad, but that part was good. No, Watson was a good play. Watson was a good play. I don't want to say that. Just Auburn. I like to break his balls, but Watson's a good play. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it. I wanted to show you the alternate version, though. And look, you still, Peterson was 30% owned. He got a 1. I'm going to leave you with this note and a couple things. I'm going to be back probably in an hour or two with the showdown breakdown, where my turd's at, breaking down the single game contest for tonight. Tough game. Two great defenses. Watson was absolutely the play on FanDuel. And by the way, we pointed it out. He was the top play. I wrote it in my notes. Watson is your best play. Watson, Herbert. And then if you wanted to move up to Lamar Jackson, fine. But check this out. Don't distract me. I got shit to talk about here. One of the important things about cash games, and just in general, is you don't have to be perfect. And this is, I think, one of the biggest misconceptions. It holds people back. Wimbledon, one of the guys here in chat, you said earlier, you know what, I crushed cash, but I didn't put enough money on it to really make a difference in my week. And I think that's a big problem that a lot of people have. Your week should first and foremost depend on how you did in your cash lineup. If you did well in your cash lineup, nothing else should matter. I didn't do well in my tournaments. Fine, whatever. I crushed cash and I made money. And the reason that is if you don't want your bankroll tracker to look like a fucking, like a W, and you don't want those crazy swings, the only way to do it is to focus. Why? Because you don't need perfection. I should show you a tournament. You want to beat perfection in a tournament? You know how hard that is to beat 100, 200,000 other people? It's so difficult that if you're judging yourself based on that, you're never going to appreciate. Osimo is one of the best players. I believe he said he's never won $1 million prize. He's one of the biggest, most voluminous tournament players in the world. Now, I'm not sure if I misread a tweet. The dude wins all the time. We see him, but I don't know that he's ever taken $1 million, right? Why am I mentioning that? Even the greatest, most voluminous tournament players, they're not taking down $1 million prize every other day, and they're putting up a ton of money, and they're swinging like mad. They're going up, they're going down. Their bankrolls are all over the place. If you have the stomach for that, great. If you have the bankroll for that, great. But the best way to approach DFS is the amount of perfection that it takes to win a giant tournament is mind-boggling. It takes just a massive amount of perfection, and you're lucky if it happens once in a blue moon. I'll win small tournaments every season. Taking down a giant tournament with 100,000 people in it, that's not a showdown with 1 million ties. The difficulty is astounding. Okay, the odds are wildly against you for this, which is why I'm so impressed when our people do it, like Sintau's taking down, a ticket to the FanDuel or the Draftkings, live final. Those things are amazing. Bobby Wow winning the $500,000, amazing. But the odds are astoundingly against us on those. So if we're judging ourselves based on, can I take down 100,000 person tournament? And we get a lot of people who sign up for DFS Army that think it's going to be easy to do that. And of course, after a couple of weeks, they cancel because they didn't win, quote unquote, the big bucks, right? But take a look. Again, we just talked about what's smashed this week. The tool is right here. I mean, what is the problem? You played Hill, you played Cook and Ballage, okay. Played Myers, played one of Adams or Allen. Brandon Cooks didn't do well, didn't matter. Deontay, who's your number one? Mark Andrews, number 2. Goddard, he fucking scored 18 for half. Goddard was a better play. Dude, if you're not in DFS Army already, what are you doing? It's $49.99 a month. How much do you play in DFS? What do you put up? Because what we charge is like $1.50 a day. And so I always tell people, we don't give out lineups here. We give you tools like this tool. But how much is your time worth? You could maybe go up and gather. You don't got ownership, but you could go up and gather. You could make your own projections. You can go and gather information about every player and put it all together. And you could do that yourself, maybe. every single day for 10 different sports, or you could pay like $1.50 and we do it better than you. And we include a whole bunch of tools also that you don't have. And the reason we build these tools is because we want to use them for ourselves. Take a NFL, look at all the tools. This is what we have going on. A research lab, power rankings tool, matchups tool, the chalkboard, which you're looking at, stack tools, show you what the stack, a research station for everything, wide receiver cornerback sheet, super draft projections, showdown dominator, which is like unbelievable. You guys even haven't seen this. Showdown analysis. We go through the showdowns and we figure out what wins. Podcast for everything. You kidding me? For $1.50 a day? It's a no-brainer. Like if you play DFS, you should be here. Why? Because look at your tournaments. Here, I'm going to say this out because this is a public pod. Look at your tournament. Go to Draftkings. Look at like the 5 tournaments you entered. Go to the top of the leaderboard. Go to first place. Look at the top 10. What do you see? DFS Army avatars there. Always. Go back. Look now. I don't care what contest you were in. Go and check. There's a reason because we have tools that pros use. Why? I've played. These are the tools I use. I've played over $1 million in entries. I mean, articles, podcasts. We're going to help you. We're going to teach you the process. But I played over these. This is what I use. I'm showing you right here. I didn't go back and change numbers. This was here for you. Oh, who should I play at quarterback? Oh, well, here's Taysom. Oh, who should I play at wide receiver? Oh, Jacoby, Deontay, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Devontae. These guys all smashed. Who should I play at tight end? I don't know who to play, Kevin. Who should I play? Why don't you look at the fucking chalkboard? What is it telling you? Oh, it says to play Mark Andrews or Dallas Goedert. Okay, well, you choose between 20 points or 80. Both smashed. And even if they didn't smash, yeah, Jimmy, man, you came late. Watch the beginning. I'm done with it. I've gone over everything. Now I'm just letting you know. Like, it's not just for people who are not in DFS Army. DFS Army members, you guys need to know where to look. Washington football team. What's wrong with that? They fucking smashed too. So, chalkboard, very easy way. Very easy way. You don't want to use the chalkboard. Use the domination station. Take a fucking lineup from the Dom station. It's not hard. This lineup probably smashed also. Yeah, Washington got a 12. I'll take that. Devontae, Balaj, Cook, Mims. You got no turds in here. I mean, I think, again, I don't like Terry McLaurin, but Dallas Goedert made up for it in this lineup with his 18. So, these lineups, there was a million ways to smash your cash games. I want you guys coming out of each week being like, fuck, we crushed it. Again, we are only, if we are, I'm going to leave you with this because I got to fucking prep for the showdown breakdown, but I'm going to leave you with this. Don't expect to win your cash games every week. I certainly don't, and I can't win every week. It's impossible. The other people playing cash games are trying really hard to beat you, and they're using tools like these. So they're using tools like these. But what I'm going to say is when you go into an NFL season, the goal should be, what can I do to try to win? I don't know. If there's 17 weeks, let me try to win 11, be profitable 11 weeks in cash, and maybe not the 6 weeks. I'll call that a smash season. So don't get depressed if 1 week you didn't cash all your cash games. And I'm not playing cash anymore. I'm fucking sick of it. No, we play out a full season. It's 17 weeks. We're trying to win 11 out of 17. Now, a lot of you guys are going to ask me cash game showdowns and smaller slates and all of that. The smaller the slate, the less I like it. The more open it is to variance. But the first thing I'm trying to do every week is figure out what are the field going to do? What is the field going to do? And I could pretty much, I've gotten to the point where I can figure out what most of the people are going to be on in cash. And knowing that allows me to just make a slight pivot. And when I say most people, like I showed you some pro lineups. I knew for the most part that they're going to be on that because they're out there doing content and it's very obvious that people take all of the value. So when you can tell that, you can now figure out, how can I just be a little different without going too crazy? I don't want to go crazy because I don't need to go crazy to take down my cash games. You could do the same, but maybe a slight difference. Again, go from Jefferson to Deontay. 3 weeks this year, Deontay fucked me. I've played him every single week in cash, every week this season. There were a couple of weeks where he came out early. Fuck me. Actually, one of them, he got me the low score. and it didn't even matter. I still cashed. But there was a couple other weeks where he came out of the game, got hurt. I can't anticipate an in-game injury, so that's going to hurt you. But all right, it's built in. I already know that's going to happen once in a while. What are you going to do? Figure out what everybody's doing in cash first. Make a slight variant if you need to. And then again, for tournaments, we make a little more variant. The beautiful thing about tournaments was, hey, we figured out who the chalk was. Again, you could very easily pivot right off of it. Myers to Bird. Everybody playing Myers would play a little Bird. You know, everybody playing Adams, we could play somebody else. So take what the cash approach is and make a little twist. All right, that's going to be it. Guys, I will be back a little later today to do the showdown breakdown. Where my turds at show, where we, I don't know, have we ever not taken down a showdown? I don't think it's ever happened. So I'm going to take another showdown down tonight. Guys, a little bit of a programming note. This is the most difficult week of NFL content for NFL content people like me. Bear with me. Thanksgiving week is brutal. Number one, because I'm a human being and I celebrate Thanksgiving. I love America, love this country, and I celebrate Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. So on the Thursday, you know, I'm tied up at Thanksgiving stuff. Wednesday, we will be doing 3 showdown breakdown videos, and I'll be breaking down the 3-game slate, which is what I prefer playing. So it's a rough week because that turnaround between Thursday, and I have a hard time seeing Sunday when Thursday's staring at me. It's one of my favorite slates. That's why it's so difficult, because then we got the Sunday slate. So the way we're going to work it is I'm going to cancel the Geeks Vegas line show this week. We're not going to have that. I'm going to do a special Thursday 3-game breakdown on Wednesday. So that will be the main difference. All of those videos are on YouTube, but Samuel, most of my videos are behind the DFS Army paywall. Unfortunately, every once in a while, I will do a public one for shits and gigs, but most of my stuff is going to be behind the DFS Army paywall. I apologize to you for that, but I got to make some money too, and I got to take care of my subscribers, and if I put all my shit out for free, that's not taking care of my people. Now, if you do want to see our stuff, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so whatever I do that's public will come to you. That's America. Fucking love this country, man. I really do. Love Thanksgiving. But it's a crazy day for content providers. So I'm going to switch up. I won't do the Geeks Vegas Lines public show. I'm going to do a special Thanksgiving 3-game slate breakdown on Wednesday. And then on Friday, I'll be back with the usual Wolf Pack, and Saturday, and we'll get our normal stuff. And what I'm going to try to do is try to get like at least half of my Sunday cheat sheet done like tonight and tomorrow, so that, you know, all of the Thanksgiving festivities, the blue moons. There's no way I'm going to be able to be working on Thursday, on Wednesday, a Thursday night. You know how it is. 12-pack of blue moons. Family. I'm not even seeing family. By the way, I'm only with it's fucking Corona Thanksgiving. I don't even know how to deal with this shit. I'm not even going to see much family. I'm just with my kids and the wife, and the in-laws won't come over. They're afraid of the vid. They're afraid of the vid. My in-laws. They won't come over. And my wife won't let fucking my parents in. She's like, they probably got the vid. They're not coming here. So Zoom Thanksgiving for me. Just hanging out. My blue moons on Zoom. I don't know. All right. That'll do it for this one, guys. I hope this helped. Sorry for letting it go long. I keep being told that my videos are too long, so I apologize for that. But, you know, what are you going to do? Can't help myself. All right. Later today, Where My Turds At show. Be there probably around 4 o'clock, 1 hour from now. Take care, everyone.